My grandson came over the other day. He's practically a man. He'll be an adult in a year and a half. And when he came over, he had sunburned his back and he wanted to ask me to put aloe vera on it because he had not worn his wetsuit that day and he got sunburned. And one of the things that he's always had with me was this safe relationship. I'm his person. He could come to me when he has questions that he might be too embarrassed to ask other people. And I remember he said to me, do you think I'll get cancer because of this? Now, that may not seem like a big deal, but what that was I have feelings, I have fear, and I trust that I can say that to you and you won't laugh at me. You won't tell me that I'm ridiculous and you'll just tell me the truth. I really appreciated that because usually males of that age are like, I'm fine, I'm fine. But that ability to let his emotions show was quite the gift. He's always been able to do that. Ask me things that he can't really ask anybody else and feel safe. When he was little, he used to come and ask me questions that he knew he'd get the truth from, and yet I wouldn't laugh. I remember a time when he used to sleep over and I remember once telling him to go get something out of the garage or go upstairs. And he was about 11 or 12 at the time. And I could see apprehension. And he was able to say, I'm scared. Oh, okay. I'll go with you. Too many people would look at that and say, oh, for crying out loud, you have nothing to be afraid of. Just go do it. And then if that happened, in that instance, the person wouldn't feel safe. They don't want to let you know that they're scared because then I look less manly or less grown up or whatever it is. And they'd be even less likely later to share their feelings with you. And they might be evasive or I've got to do something else. I remember as a little girl, when I would say something or let a feeling out, people would laugh. Oh my gosh, you're such a big baby. Are you this or you're that? And I learned a long time ago that I hated that feeling. I don't want to be laughed at for sharing a thought or an emotion with you. And too many people share thoughts and emotions with others. And when they get laughed at or mocked, or for some reason they felt embarrassed, they learn to close up and they won't share that again. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want to talk with you about safety. We are there to help other people feel safe. If you feel safe sharing your emotions with someone, sharing your thoughts, when I say safe, that means I can tell you this. You're not going to judge me, laugh at me, tell me I'm ridiculous, whatever. No matter what it is I have to say, I trust you. I trust you're going to have a good response. I trust I'm not going to be made to feel, as I just said, dumb or embarrassed. So when I work with my standers, I want to remind people of this. And recently I talked to a stander. She and her husband have been separated for several years. And just recently, the husband started leaning in and he said something to her. He said, when she said, well, I've never stopped loving you. And he said, well, I love you too. But then he changed the subject, but we could never work out. Talked to another stander whose wife left him. And she expressed that, well, I drove past our old house today. Well, she had no reason to be in that neighborhood. And maybe it wasn't intentional, maybe it was accidental, but she shared with her ex-husband something that she probably didn't realize she was letting out. But she felt safe enough to share with him that, oh yeah, I drove past our house. And I said to him, whether it's subconscious or conscious, there was a reason she drove past your old house. But more importantly, she now feels safe enough to share that with you. Because in the beginning, when we first leave our spouses, We aren't sharing anything with them. We aren't telling, it's like, I don't need to tell you anything. You're actually more of the enemy at that point. So these things, this idea of feeling safe is an example that you are coming closer, that you somehow are in a place of trust. And trust is at the foundation of any relationship. So whether we were talking about my grandson trusting me, I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm the one he came to when he wanted to find out about Santa Claus. He said, Grandma, I know you'll tell me the truth. And I could see that look in his face, like, don't lie to me. When these people express emotions, I want you to understand, if your spouse, if your friend, if someone you're estranged with shares a thought or a feeling and you're able to protect it, that is a gift from that person. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, but in my anger management classes, one of the biggest problems that these students, men, women, adults, have dealt with is this inability to feel safe sharing their emotions. And when they can't share their emotions, because when they were children or younger people, like, oh, suck it up, you pansy, they were made to feel like they couldn't share emotion. And because anger is a secondary emotion, it comes out when the primary emotion that we're really feeling, we're uncomfortable expressing it. And so if I had said to my grandson years ago, when he said, I'm afraid to go upstairs, I get scared in the dark, if I'd have said, well, you big baby, man up. When he was an adult, he wouldn't share that, and he'd be suppressing that primary emotion, and it would come out as anger. So our emotions are such a part of us. We are emotional beings, emotional, spiritual. It's all tied together. And your job, the reason you're watching this video, your job is to do your part in hearing what you may not want to hear sometimes, but letting the people feel safe. When your spouse says to you, well, I never really loved you. The time you did this, I felt blah, blah, blah. Instead of defending yourself, throwing it in their face or saying you shouldn't have felt that way. Never tell someone they shouldn't feel a certain way. But just listen. And if the response you give is something non-judgmental, non-hurtful, non-defensive, they'll be more inclined to share with you the next time and the time after that. And eventually you are their safe space. And that, my friends, is the foundation of the relationship that you want to build. So whether it's your child, your sibling, your spouse, consider that. Do I make people feel safe? Or do I make them feel judged, embarrassed, stupid? How would I want someone to respond if I shared my emotions or my thoughts? And if you're responding in a way that you think, maybe I could get better, maybe that's your starting place. Maybe you can get better the next time. Practice with somebody else. Pray on it, discern, and be that safe space. If you're looking for reconciliation of a marriage, that is absolutely a place to start. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, they never talk to me, so they won't know. And what'll also help is maybe you let them know how you are feeling. You know, I'm sorry for the time I did such and such. I was just really feeling embarrassed, and I shouldn't have done such and such. But I'm going way far into the subject that probably could be a separate video. So I'm going to end it right here. So I just want to say again, be that safe space. Be a safe space to as many people as you can. Because when they know that you're the person they can come to, you're going to really have an impact on their lives. If this has been helpful in any way, I'd love for you to share it with your friends or family or someone you think may need it. Who knows? We may start changing the world one safe space at a time, one conversation at a time. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. This is your informational bacon bit for today. Don't forget always to live your life sunny side up.